You know, you've probably been told these health facts your entire life by your parents, your teachers, heck, maybe even your doctor. But science says they are completely wrong. Welcome back to Dr. Wales Cam. I'm your host, and today we're diving into a brand new explainer where I'm busting the absolute biggest medical myths you probably still believe. Honestly, the truth here might just shock you. So let's separate fact from fiction. Look, we all have these deeply ingrained beliefs about our bodies, right? It's completely natural. When the people we trust the most, our caretakers, educators, and medical professionals, repeat the exact same advice over and over, it just becomes our reality. We don't even question it because, well, why would we? It feels like plain old common sense. But as you'll see today, sometimes what feels like common sense is actually just a really, really persistent rumor. So today we're taking a huge magnifying glass to those exact beliefs. We're looking straight at the hard scientific evidence to see what actually holds up and what completely falls apart. It is time to unlearn the things that just aren't serving us and empower ourselves with actual evidence-based knowledge. Let's start with a rule I guarantee you probably try to follow every single day. The famous 8 glasses of water a day. This myth has been repeated for decades. I mean, it's everywhere. But that rigid rule of 8 glasses, it's completely false. Science actually tells us a much simpler fact. You should just drink when you're thirsty. Seriously, your body has this incredibly sophisticated built-in alarm system for telling you exactly when it needs fluids. The reality here is that your water needs vary wildly from person to person. It depends on your weight, your daily activity level, your diet, and even the climate you live in. Think about it. Someone running a marathon in the blazing summer heat is going to need vastly more water than someone sitting in an air-conditioned office snacking on watermelon. Some people need way more than 8 glasses, and some need a whole lot less. So how do you actually know if you're getting enough? Honestly, forget counting glasses. A much better scientifically backed rule of thumb is to simply check your urine. If it's a pale yellow color, boom, you are well hydrated. It literally is that simple. Listen to your thirst, check the color, and just let your body guide you. All right, let's move on to our next myth and see how this builds on our understanding of how the body actually processes what we eat. Here's the big question. Does eating at night really make you fat? This has got to be one of the most common diet myths out there. We've all heard that classic rule, right? Don't eat a single thing after 8 p.m. It's almost as if people think your digestive system magically shuts down and instantly turns everything into fat the second the sun sets. Well, let's look at the cold hard facts. The myth says late eating causes weight gain. But the scientific fact? Weight gain happens when you consume more calories than you burn. Period. That's the whole equation. So the absolute crucial point here is this. Your body doesn't own a watch. The timing of your meals matters so much less than the total amount of energy you're consuming throughout the entire day. So you might be wondering, why does this myth even exist in the first place? Well, practically speaking, late-night eating often becomes a problem for a completely different reason. The real issue is that people tend to snack on junk food late at night. Let's be real, you are rarely craving a fresh spinach salad at midnight while binge-watching TV. No, you reach for the chips, the ice cream, the cookies. It's the excess calories from those poor food choices that cause weight gain, not the actual hour on the clock. Now, speaking of snacking, let's talk about sugar. Specifically, does sugar actually make kids hyperactive? Man, parents have confidently believed this one for decades. You go to a kid's birthday party, they eat a huge slice of cake, and suddenly they are literally bouncing off the walls. It seems like an open and shut case of cause and effect, right? Well, actually, wrong. Controlled double-blind studies have repeatedly shown absolutely no link between sugar consumption and hyperactivity in children. None. Sugar itself is just not the culprit causing that wild spike in energy. So why do we all swear we've seen it happen with our own eyes? Well, it's purely psychological. The environment itself, like a super loud, exciting birthday party, that's what makes kids excited. But even more importantly, parents actively expect their kids to go crazy after eating sugar. And because of this expectation, parents get hyper-focused on their kids and start noticing totally normal, energetic behavior and falsely attributing it to a sugar rush. It's basically a classic case of your expectations completely altering your perception. Okay, let's transition away from diet and talk about the human body itself, addressing a classic warning pretty much every child has heard. The myth, cracking your knuckles causes arthritis. Parents absolutely love throwing this one around, usually just because the sound grosses them out.
But once again, multiple scientific studies have found absolutely zero link between cracking your knuckles and developing arthritis.
Mechanically speaking, it isn't your bones grinding together at all, not even close. What you are actually hearing is simply harmless gas bubbles popping within the synovial fluid that lubricates your joints. When you stretch the joint, the pressure drops, those gases dissolve into bubbles, and pop. 100% harmless. And hey, if you need ultimate proof, just look at this number, 60. There's this famous, totally wild case of a dedicated doctor who wanted to prove this myth wrong once and for all. So, what did he do? He cracked the knuckles on his left hand every single day for 60 years, while leaving his right hand completely alone as a control. The result after 6 whole decades? Zero difference. Neither hand developed arthritis. Now that is dedication to science. Here's another number you've definitely heard. 10%. This is the famous myth that we only use 10% of our brain. Hollywood absolutely loves this concept. Remember the movie Lucy or Limitless? The whole premise is based on unlocking the hidden 90% of our brain power to gain literal superpowers. It makes for fantastic science fiction, for sure, but it is terrible actual science. The reality is completely different. Modern brain imaging technology proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that we use virtually all parts of our brain. In fact, most of it is active almost all the time. Even while you are dead asleep, your brain is working incredibly hard, processing information and performing essential maintenance. There are no dormant, unused sections just waiting to be unlocked. All right, let's shift gears to illness. The myth here. Cold weather makes you sick. Put on a jacket or you'll catch a cold, right? Your grandmother probably swore by this one. But the actual fact is, colds and the flu are caused by viruses, not by cold temperatures. You literally cannot catch a viral infection simply from stepping outside into the freezing air without a hat on. It just doesn't work that way. So, that begs the question, why does winter always correlate with a massive spike in sickness? Well, the reason isn't the temperature outside, it's our behavior inside. When it gets cold, we spend significantly more time indoors, usually in poorly ventilated spaces right up close to other people. This close indoor proximity makes it infinitely easier for airborne viruses to spread from person to person. Finally, we reach the climax of our explainer today, and I have to warn you, this one is genuinely dangerous. The myth is that you can stop taking antibiotics as soon as you start feeling better. Lots of people do this, right? Maybe to save pills for later or just to avoid taking medication when they feel fine. But the scientific fact is absolute. You must always, always finish the full prescription your doctor gave you. Let me walk you through exactly why this is so absolutely critical. Step 1. You start feeling better, so you stop taking your antibiotics early. Seems harmless, right? Well, step 2. Because you didn't finish the course, you haven't killed the infection entirely. You've actually just left the strongest, most resilient bacteria alive in your body. Which leads to step 3. Those surviving bacteria multiply and mutate, becoming resistant to the antibiotic. This doesn't just put you at risk for a worse, much harder to treat infection, it actively contributes to a massive global health crisis of antibiotic resistance. So please, always finish the bottle. So there you have it, 7 massive medical myths completely busted by science. From the water we drink, to the cold weather outside, all the way to the way we take our medicine. The core lesson here is simple and, honestly, pretty empowering. Always question what you've been told, even if everyone around you seems to believe it. Don't just rely on generational anecdotes, always look for the evidence and follow the science. If you enjoyed this explainer and found it helpful, please do me a huge favor and smash that like button and subscribe to Dr. Walesa right now. We put out more deep dive, myth-busting medical content just like this every single week, and I would absolutely love to have you join our community of focused learners. But before you go, I really want to hear from you. Which myth surprised you the most today? Was it the knuckle cracking, the 10% brain myth, or maybe the real truth about kids and sugar? Drop a comment down below and let's get a conversation going. Thanks so much for tuning in, keep questioning the world around you, and I will see you in the next one.